One of my favorite things about DTF printing is also one of the biggest challenges. This machine can print almost anything, but what do you actually print to show off your printer's capability? Although this design does look awesome and the DTF process worked perfectly, there's one glaring issue. Using copyrighted characters, logos, or artwork might make for a really cool shirt, but if you're trying to build a real brand or sell products, you need designs you can actually use and reproduce without the threat of legal action. That's where a lot of people get stuck. You don't want to copy other people's artwork, but staring at a blank canvas trying to create something original can be super intimidating. So today I'm replacing this shirt with an all-new Color Gamut Consulting shirt made with Kittl. I'm going to show you how I go from having no idea what I want to having a finished original design printed and pressed on a shirt. This video is sponsored by Kittl, but honestly, they're already responsible for like most of my wardrobe. Welcome to Kittl.com. We're gonna show you just a few of the features, of the many features that are in Kittl. And if you'd like to check them out on your own, you can use the link in the description that is affiliate link for me that gives you a 30-day free trial to just check out what Kittl is actually capable of. You're going to be greeted with some options. What do you want to create today? So let's start with the templates. I think this is probably the most powerful thing of Kittl is the templates they have. Now you can just look and see what it offers you up immediately. You're going to see tons of options here, but we want to start with probably a shirt. So let's look at merchandise and look at t-shirts and see what it does. Now what I'm looking for here is just inspiration, a jumping off point to see if there's something that speaks to me that I can then run with it. I love space. I'm a big space nerd, and that's what you've seen the vibe of my other shirts is. So let's do that. Let's just search for a template that has to do with space. Let's try that. Let's see what comes up then. Now I'm looking for something that's going to be really colorful, or a word or a phrase that can be like kind of a jumping off point for me to design from. And most of the elements in these are editable, meaning we can tweak with them. We can change the graphic, the text. That's one of the benefits of using Kittl over like just a regular AI image generator, is those are locked in. You can't really change stuff if there's a misspelling or something. You can't fix that. In Kittl, you really can tweak it and make it your own. Ooh, this one maybe it's a possibility. I'm gonna put a plus on it. I like the pink is actually similar to one of the colors in my logo. I've looked around for a bit and I think I like this one. And here's what I like about this one is I can change it up. It looks like the astronaut's almost like reaching for this little world. And what we do is get people's printers to print better colors here. And so maybe we'll play off something of like searching for colors or something like that, better colors. Let's jump into it and see what we can do with this template. The first thing I'm gonna do is just look and see what in here is editable. So I'm gonna click on this. Okay, cool. Background is editable. This little starburst, good, perfect, love it. Cool. All right, so a lot of the elements are in there. I'm gonna undo that. So I'm gonna hit Command or Control Z. That's the shortcut. You will hear me use shortcuts a lot. I like shortcuts. I think they're very powerful to help you edit faster. And I will put any shortcuts right over here on the screen. They'll pop up right there. Now, a couple things that I like to do before I really get into editing. I'm gonna change some stuff in the workspace. One of the things that I think is really helpful is having some rulers and guides to help you make sure you line stuff up nicely. So I'm gonna click off the artboard here, make sure nothing's selected. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say View, Show Ruler and Guides. So this is gonna give me ruler at the top and bottom. If I click on the ruler and bring it down, it's gonna bring down some guidelines for me. And what that helps me do is helps me align stuff. So I'm just gonna hit Control or Command Z to undo those because I don't need those guides just yet. The next thing I'm gonna do is I need to resize this because I'm willing to bet this is not the right size for printing with DTF. So I'm gonna click on the artboard title here. And on the side, I'm gonna see that we are 1200 by 1200 pixels. Now, printing with DTF, you need 300 pixels per inch for a really good quality print. This means that this image would only be 4 inches by 4 inches. And I want a big old picture for my shirt. So I need to be about 12.5 inches wide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna multiply 12.5 by 300, which is gonna give me 3750. That's how big I need my shirt to be. Now this is roughly a square image, but a lot of times I like to go a little taller with the final version of my design. So I'm actually gonna make this 4200 for now, and then we'll fix it later. Now you're gonna notice that it's huge and I don't know what I'm working with. So I'm gonna zoom out, and you can either use the zoom buttons here, but again, I love shortcuts. So I'm gonna hold down Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and use my scroll wheel on my mouse or 2 fingers on the trackpad to scroll. And then if I hold down Shift and use the scroll, it's gonna scroll side to side. If I let go of everything, no Shift, no Alt or Option, it's gonna scroll up and down. Now I need to select all of these graphics here, and I need to pull them down to resize them to fit our new artboard. Now, if there are any elements, any graphic elements in here that aren't vectors, we do wanna upscale it, because when we resize, sometimes it makes it fuzzy. You're not gonna notice it a ton on screen here, but you will notice it with the final print. Another thing I'm gonna do to make editing a little more straightforward and simple for me to see is I'm gonna get rid of the texture that's on this. There is a texture on here. I'm gonna click on the artboard name, and we're gonna just hide this texture for now. Now we might wanna use that texture later to give it a vintage kind of look, but for now, I just wanna get rid of it so I can really see what I'm working with. Now I'm gonna take this main back graphic, and I am going to upscale it because I know that that's gonna give me better final results. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. While that's doing that, I can start playing with some of this other stuff. So established 2001, let's make 2025, because that was the year that our business got started. I like the little rocket ship, but not a huge fan of the CE. So let's ungroup those. Delete that little CE, cool. Now let's think about what text we'd want here. So it's saying explore beyond the stars, but we're more color. So maybe like discovering worlds of color. I might have to workshop that a bit. Oh my goodness, that's too big. Okay, so it stopped flashing. That means the upscaling is done. But yeah, I need to reduce that font size a lot. Discovering worlds of color. Let's make it a little bit bigger, 250. I like that. I'm not in love with the color or the font yet, but let's play with some other stuff first. Let's go down here and let's change the stars to say Color Gamut. Now it's a little too big. I don't know that I love that font. Let's play with this a little bit. Let's go down to 500. Okay, a little bit better. Now, you know, I mentioned that this pink is very similar to my my logo font. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna bring in a graphic that has my logo fonts in it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab from my desktop and drag it in here. There it goes. It came in from uploads here. And I literally just want it sitting in this project so I can eyedropper my colors. Just a great tip. If you have a color palette you're already working with, you can just drag it in. So you can also pick from color palettes in Kittl itself. It's gonna give you some fun, cool color palettes. It'll change it up, but I really don't wanna do that. I want to use my own stuff. So I'm gonna change the color of this font here. So click text color, get the little eyedropper. There we go. We'll just start with that. Now, not a huge fan of this font. Click here. There are a lot of font options. Like, look, scroll for days, y'all. So a lot of times what I find is if you want to maybe get some inspiration, don't want to just use a straight font, go over here to the left-hand side and you can click the text, and you're gonna see some different, like maybe kind of font inspirations or text treatment inspirations. If you click on it, it'll bring something in. So like in this case, I actually think I like that scripty font for maybe consulting across the bottom here. I'm gonna sit that off to the side. But basically, you can bring in different fonts that have different treatments on them, or you can just simply change the font you're wanting to use. Now, I know I normally like a nice sans serif font, meaning it doesn't have any like little doodads at the edge of it, for lack of a better term. Think of like Times New Roman, that's a serif font. Sans serif font would be something a little more modern. You know, I don't know that I love the bend of it. I feel like it's bending like a little bit too much. So let's go over here to transform, and we're gonna edit that. Okay, so I think I'm kind of digging this wave, this flag, but maybe just not so much. Now, if I wanna make sure it's centered, I can use the alignment tools right here to center it on the page. Just gotta make sure other things are centered properly. Yep, that was centered, okay. Now, I mentioned before, I kind of like this for the word consulting. Let's see what it looks like. Whoops. Let's make our font a little bit smaller. Now let's make this bigger. I think I do like this. Now, you know what? I think instead of this, just this flat color here, I think I want to do a gradient over the text. So I'm going to click on the text color, and here it says solid, linear, radial. These are gradients. So this is a linear gradient. And I think what I'd like to do is I think I'd like to go from the pink to my purple from my logo. You know what? Let's try something. Let's go actually negative 25 on the spacing, on the tracking. Let's go negative 50. Okay, I like that better. Now I can make it bigger because it's closer together now. And let's check this, and I want to actually adjust this up a little bit, and I want to add a new color. So let's see. If I click right here, that adds a new color, and now I'm going to make this an orange. Let's maybe make that the blue and see what that looks like. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. Now let's change this up a little bit. And I don't like that it's like orange on this side and blue on that side. So let me change the angle of this. And let's move it down. Change the angle a little bit more. Oh, there we go. We're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere now. I like that. And on the consulting, try our blue, try our purple. I like the blue better. Sweet. Okay. All right. Kind of digging that vibe so far. All right. Let's double check something. I never checked to see what our background color was. So if I click on the artboard name, I'm going to see our background color is not quite where I want it to be. I want it to be black because I'm going to put on a black shirt. So I'm going to get rid of all the black when we're all done with this. Okay. Let me do a couple more changes and let me see if I can find some stuff that I like. Oh, you know what? I don't love this border on this. So it's currently technically called a text shadow. It's obviously not using black. I want to change that to black. I also think it's a little bit big. So let's reduce the size of that a little bit. Yeah, I like that better. I also want to reduce the width of that one. Now let's head back up here and let's change up this font a little bit. Let's go with, I think I like this Hemisphere Sans. So let's try that one again. Hemisphere Sans. Yep, I like that. And let's increase our size a little bit. And then let's change our font color. Let's go with maybe this orange. All right, now what I need to do is I want to, because instead of the astronaut looking at a planet, I wanted to look at like a color wheel, like the hue color wheel. So let's go over here and see if we have anything in the graphics here. So let's go hue color. Yeah, I like it, but I don't want that little eyedropper there. I just want the color wheel. That looks kind of good, but it's kind of giving off a different vibe than the main part of the image. Let's see if AI can't help us fix this. So let's click on this graphic here, and we're gonna say edit area. And I want to replace the planet in the upper right with a hue color wheel in the style of the rest of the image. Now, I could just run with that prompt and see what I can do with it. But I can also enhance the prompt. Let's see what the enhancement looks like. And this is basically using AI to create a better AI prompt. Replace the plane in the upper right with precisely rendered hue color wheel seamlessly integrated into the image's existing style, lighting, and artistic quality, ensuring a visually cohesive and professional result. Nice. So that looks like a great prompt. Let's edit image and see what it does. So one of the things that happens sometimes when you use the AI generator, it creates a background. So let's try to use remove background to see if we can get rid of it. I'm digging the hue color wheel. Oh, perfect. That was great. Sometimes it doesn't love background removal. Sometimes it'll give you weird results. That was a great result. I like it. I like it a lot. One thing I want to check and make sure is that I'm not using any drop shadows that have blurs, because in DTF, if you have blurs or shadows or things like that, the print results will sometimes be not great. So you want to make sure that you don't have those kind of artifacts or things, glows happening. So I'm actually going to remove my background color and just take a look here. And although these are semi-transparent, I've got a way to make sure they print properly. All right, I think as I'm looking at this, I'm not in love with this orange color for this text up here. I think I'd maybe rather have it be like a yellow. Nope, not a bright yellow. That looks horrible. Let's see if we can pick a color from within the graphic here that we're working with. Maybe this light blue. You know, I feel like this bottom area here is a little bit empty, so let's see if there's something else we can throw in there. Ornaments. All right, one last thing I'm gonna do is I wanna optimize the spacing on this for a t-shirt. So I actually wanna go like all the way out to the edges to make sure my graphic goes all the way out to the edges. Now, I'm pretty happy with this design, but to get it ready to print for DTF, I wanna get rid of the black because that's what color the shirt is that it's gonna go on. So I wanna get rid of that black so the shirt shows through and it gives it a softer hand feel. Now, one of the things I wanna make sure that I do is get all of the darker blacks, like almost black, to be truly black. And I've dealt with that with like the borders around some of these images or the text here. I've gotten rid of that or turned it to all black. But on this image here, this kind of star field here in his face and this area here are not gonna remove very nicely. So I wanna try to get them closer to true black. So I'm gonna use the photo filter here to try to darken this up a little bit. So I can use contrast to maybe boost it a little bit. That also changes the colors a little bit. I actually kind of like what it's doing with some of that contrast. Let's move on to the next step. So the best way I've found to keep the quality at its absolute best and get rid of the black background is to export it. We want to make sure 3750 by 4200. We can do JPEG or PNG right now, it doesn't really matter. And then our color, this is where a lot of people get confused, is printing with DTF, it does use CMYK inks, but what actually happens is the RIP software, what converts the image to print properly with the printer, it prefers RGB files, or it will give you more vibrant and saturated results using an RGB profile. So our color we actually want to use for this is RGB, web and screen, and we're gonna optimize for quality. We're gonna click export, and now we're gonna go over here to the left tab and we're gonna create a new project. We're gonna make sure it's the same size as our old project, 3750 by 4200. I'm not gonna worry about the DPI right now. And then I'm going to click the upload here in the left panel. Upload. There we are. Make sure we upload the file we just exported. For whatever reason, they always come in a little bit small, but we know that the size of our original file and the size of this new template are identical. Now, we want to go to this photo filter. We're going to remove the black color. Select that there. And we're going to adjust our intensity. And I'm not too worried about there being a little bit of a black edge on some of this, because when we print it, it's going on a black shirt. So having some darker edges is not the end of the world. But if you want to get rid of more of it, you just increase the intensity a little bit. All right, now when we go to export it, we're going to click export. We're going to verify our size is correct, our DPI is correct, RGB. We do want to remove the background and optimize quality. That's going to make sure we have a transparent background when we bring it into the RIP software. All right, now I'm going to jump over to my favorite RIP software, Neo Stampa, and we're going to bring in our project. One thing I'm going to do to make sure that this doesn't have any semi-transparent pixels, or at least the semi-transparent pixels won't print, is I'm going to go to the transparency control, and I'm going to say discard transparency gradients. So this is going to get rid of any like mild semi-transparent pixels in there, just to make sure it prints perfectly. Now we're going to head on over to DTF Station Pilot, and we're going to print this thing. And print. Well, here's the printed graphic, and you might be thinking, Jeremy, that doesn't look very nice. Well, yeah, I know, it's because it's not on the shirt yet. Let's put on the shirt. Well, here's my brand new shirt. Guess I should probably put it on. All right, I'm pretty stoked with that. This turned out pretty good. As I mentioned before, if you want to try out Kittl for 30 days, there's a link below in the description. If you have any questions about any of the equipment that I used here in this video today, feel free to reach out or comment below. I'm really looking forward to doing some more projects with Kittl, so keep an eye on the channel and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more DTF tips, tricks, tutorials, or Kittl how-to videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.